Hare Krishna, welcome to the Bhagavad-gita lecture. We are continuing today on chapter 6 and the verses 20 to 23, because last time we were not able to finish. It's a very long purport and it's very technical, full with spiritual inspiration. But in order to make this lecture successful, then we chant the invocation mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I will just read then again these verses which we were reading last Wednesday, and then we can continue where we ended in the purport. So the translation goes like this. The Lord Krishna is explaining about dhyana yoga or ashtanga yoga. And then he says that in the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. Meaning, as I said last time, you focus the mind completely that you are in transcendence now. All the material mental activities have stopped. And this perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. So now the soul is able to understand the difference between me, the soul, and this gross material body and mind. And that will give a lot of bliss to the soul. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through the transcendental senses. And that we talked about last time also, the transcendental senses, that the soul has those original senses, and then the body is covered, or the body is covering those transcendental senses. And that the mind, the shape of the mind, or you can say the shape of one's mentality, is that the subtle body. So how the subtle body looks, that's how our gross body looks. So how our mentality looks, that's how our gross body looks. But it's also an expression of how I want to enjoy in the material world. And then established thus, one never departs from the truth. So when you have reached this transcendence, and that's happiness, you have reached the truth, and you will never go back to illusion, the material illusion. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain, because he has now obtained a higher taste. And then being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So that's the verse which we read. These are actually 3 verses, 20 to 23, and that we were reading that last Wednesday. And now I will start on the second paragraph. So before I continue with the lecture, then I will also pay obeisances to my gurus. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. So, we were speaking, I would like to I have made a little summary list here of all the concepts which Srila Prabhupada is explaining, because there are many Sanskrit words and it can be very difficult for those who don't understand this what they mean. So, and also they are like principles for spiritual life, which are important to know. And I would say that this whole purport, which is very long, is it's like a summary of what is Bhakti Yoga, and also what is the difference between other type of spiritual paths. So the principles which are explained here, which are important, is Samadhi, transcendental bliss, the higher taste, freedom from all miseries. So these four, Lord Krishna is explaining in the verses which I read now. And then in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining Chitti Shakti, which is the internal spiritual potency. Now we are going to speak about the Purushartha. I will explain what that is in a minute. Kaivalyam, which we were speaking about last time, oneness, or to merge with the Brahman existence. Nirvana. Many people relate Nirvana to Buddhism, but actually in Bhakti Yoga, Nirvana means something else. And then Maya. And then there are different types of yoga paths, which Prabhupada is explaining: Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So that's like the summary of the different concepts. So now we can go to the purport, the second paragraph there, where Prabhupada is saying this Chitti Shakti, or internal potency, is transcendental. And that we were speaking about last time, that in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, Lord Krishna is explaining that in this material world, there are two energies which belongs to him: the material energy and the spiritual energy. So Chitti Shakti is the spiritual energy. And the soul belongs to that category, but the body and the mind and intelligence belongs to the material energy. So we see here that in us, there are two energies, and they are in constant conflict with one another. So we are and that creates the misery. So we, as yogis or bhakti yogis, we will try now to solve this issue. And as we are eternal souls, we are eternal, we're full of knowledge, we are full of bliss. And we are always looking for happiness. We want to be happy. We want to enjoy. But when we don't connect things with the Supreme Lord, who is the owner of everything, when we don't connect with him through yoga, so then that's when the conflict appears, because then we try to, how do you say, to move him to the side, like, go away, I'm taking your position. So that's the only wrong thing which we are actually doing, and that's why things don't go well for us. So when we add him to our life and our consciousness, and we consider what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord in all our life situation, so then everything will be, how do you say, in harmony with him. And when everything is in harmony with him, that's when we experience that bliss. That's when we find the real happiness. So it's not more difficult than that, but we have to remember to always connect with him in different life situations, day-to-day life, or it can be the rites of life, the different meaning, the samskaras, rituals, and so on. So that we do, that connection is through the spiritual energy, Chit Shakti, which is going through the Guru. That's why Guru is very important, that we connect with the spiritual master. We can connect also through Srila Prabhupada first, and then eventually he will arrange a Guru for us. So how do we connect through Srila Prabhupada? By reading his books, for instance, learning the meaning of this, how to apply this Bhagavad-gita, for instance. And then slowly, by Krishna's arrangement and by, praying to Prabhupada, then we can find our spiritual master. Okay, so now we go into this very interesting concept, which is called Purushartha. And let me see there. Purushartha, so artha means something which has value. And Purushartha are 4. And I will read something with Srila Prabhupada, how Prabhupada is explaining Purushartha. It's also called Chatur Varga. Chatur means 4, Varga, Purushartha. So he's saying Purushartha means the interest of the living entity. So Artha can also mean interest. So what is our interest? That we will speak about a little later. So these interests, Prabhupada is saying, they are not final. Okay. So Prabhupada is explaining here in back to the purport in Bhagavad-gita. Purushartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. So in the human life, let me see here. I had this really nice purport. Artha means what are the arthas? Prabhupada is saying. Artha means interest. So there are 4 kinds of interest. We are interested in 4 things. If we are actually a human being, a civilized being, then we should be interested with 4 things. What are those 4 things? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, from the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.41. In human society, for at least peaceful living, the human society must have religion, dharma. And artha means economic development, good condition. That is also required. One, the human society should be religious. They must have nice economic organization. And the kama, they must have also nice arrangement for sense gratification. So sense gratification is not denied. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And after that, when one is satisfied, when one is by religious procedure, he is satisfied in his economic development, in his satisfaction of the senses. The next need is Moksha. Moksha means liberation from material bondage. These are 4 arthas. So these are quite important to keep in mind. The Artha Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So we can analyze a little bit if this exists. Prabhupada is saying this exists in all the civilized human societies. The religiosity, because why is religiosity important? For the materialist, he also likes to be religious. He likes to pray to God, give me this, give me that. And to do some rituals, to gain some punya, or some good karma, so that one can fulfill one's material desires. So that is the how do you call it? Karmakanda section of the Vedas. But also bhakti can fulfill one's desires, but that is like a byproduct. It's or fulfill the needs which we have in the material world. That comes as a byproduct. Not that we are striving for it, but it will come. So some kind of sacrifice has to be there. Krishna is speaking about that in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad-gita and the 4th chapter. Sacrifice is important. We do some kind of sacrifice. Like in Kali Yuga, it's recommended you chant Hare Krishna mantra. That is your sacrifice. And when there is sacrifice, there will be rain. And when there is rain, there will also be grain or food. The food will grow. And when there is food, then there is not only food, which will come from a sacrifice, actually, also metals, different metals in the mountains, the pearls in the sea, the gems in the mountains, and so on. So different types of richness will come if human beings are doing some kind of sacrifice. If the human being stops with that, then nothing will grow, because there will be no rain and there will be no production of, everything will be just finished. So the human being is very important. He creates through the sacrifice, and then the demigods will be giving whatever is needed, because they are the agents of Krishna. So then the next step is economic development will be there. And when there is money, there is also sense gratification. So you will have everything you need. And then when you have enjoyed enough, you will still feel empty in your heart, and you will think, I have everything, but what is wrong with me? Why am I not grateful? Why am I not happy? And then you will start think about deeper things than this karma kanda. You will be starting to connect with the Lord. So that is the 4 steps to reach realization. And this is the common person. Usually he goes that way through these 4 steps. Okay, so are there any comments or questions on this?
I have a quick question, if I may.
Yeah.
Just talking about energy. You said there's like our energy is divided into 2 different kinds, like material and spiritual. But there's also like the thing about female and male energy, for example. Does that fall into the spiritual, like as a subcategory, or like the material, or where does it exist?
Yeah, energy means female. All types of energies are actually in the category of female, and there is only one male, which is Krishna, he's like the source of the energy. So, but everything else is female. So, like Tatashta Shakti, I didn't explain Tatashta Shakti. Shakti means energy. So Tatashta Shakti, that's the small souls. All the souls. You have the super soul, that's Krishna, and then you have the small little souls, everyone else, so that even demigods are actually belonging to Tatashta Shakti, except Lord Shiva. He has his own category, which is Shiva Shakti. Sorry, no, he's not Shakti, he's Purusha. Yeah, but Shiva Tattva. So everyone is actually female, which means female means not the gender female, but you can say the position of being dependent on the supreme independent, which is Lord Krishna. So everyone is dependent on him. So that's why we are considered to be female. Okay. Can you still hear me? Because I can see here that I was disconnected from the internet. Oh,
Yeah, it's very different than how you explained it. So it's very interesting.
Oh, now I am back. I had some internet connection problem.
Okay.
Could you say that again?
I was just saying that from what I knew of yoga before, like the yoga, I guess it's hatha yoga that most people like associate with the word. There's a lot of practice, I think, around like uniting female and male energy, or like sun and moon, and like kind of like these different elements. So that's where the question came from. But it's interesting to hear like a very different perspective to it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, originally it originates in Radha and Krishna. So you have actually in the Hare Krishna mantra, you have the female aspect, and then you have the masculine aspect in Radha and Krishna. And then the Hare Krishna mantra itself is a prayer to be engaged in the service of the divine couple. Because right now we are serving our material senses, our material mind, and our material intelligence. So we are in illusion. So we are kind of wasting our time if we don't connect, if we don't, serve the Lord. And so yoga is actually about connecting with the Supreme Lord and his internal potency. Ultimately, Srimati Radharani, or Hare, she is actually the internal potency. And we just connect through her, we connect to Krishna. But we don't go directly to Radharani, we go through the spiritual master or the guru, like that. So then we can connect, and then let's say we offer some service, but we do that through the spiritual master. It's like, I don't know, we can have some big personality who comes to the city, and let's say a politician or president, and you want to meet him, but you will never be able to meet him in person unless you go through the people who are close to him. So that is actually, that principle comes from the spiritual world, that you have to, there has to be some trust. Someone has to know you, and then, okay, this person is trustworthy, so then you can come closer to this big personality. So that system works in the spiritual hierarchy, you could call it. I know many people don't like hierarchies, but because they have some authority issues. But this is how things work everywhere, because it works like that in the spiritual world also. Yeah, but I think this is quite important to understand, that we are female, which means we are dependent. We are not independent. But in the material world, everybody wants to be independent. So we are trying to take, the female is trying to take the male role. And when the female tries to take the male role, then it becomes very exaggerated, you could say. We are not able to do it because it's not us. And that's why we have this internal conflict, that we are going against our nature. But if we would just accept, I am dependent, I am very much dependent on a daily basis. So then that would make us humble, and humility is the first step of knowledge. And if we are always in this humble state, then Krishna will very, very easily reciprocate with us. It will be very easy to connect with him through yoga. Spiritual life will become much easier, actually, if we take that humble position. Yeah, thank you for your question, Mary.
Thank you.
Mataji,
Yes.
you told about two energies. One is material and spiritual, and you also told about you also explained about the material and spiritual, like two words. Could you repeat that?
From the 7th chapter there, where Krishna is, or maybe it's 8th chapter.
Yeah, you just told about material and then spiritual.
Yeah. So these energies belong to Lord Krishna. So when Srimati Radharani is coming with the Lord, assisting the Lord in this material world, so then Krishna, he expands himself into Lord Vishnu or Narayan, And then Radharani expands herself to Lakshmi. And then when the Lord is going to create, so then he looks at the material energy. So that look is actually Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva's consort is the material energy, Durga Devi.
Okay.
So it's an expansion from Radharani to Lakshmi to Durga. So, and this happens because, not because Lord Krishna wants to create the material world, but because there are living entities who wants to be independent. And in order to be independent, we have to forget that we are spirit souls, that we are actually dependent. So Maya or Durga Devi, she will create a particular type of covering over the soul, so that covering is which makes us forget who we are. And then she makes, and then Lord Shiva is the principle of ignorance. He's not ignorance, but he's like the one who is in charge of the mode of ignorance. And that mode of ignorance has to cover us, because ignorance means forgetfulness. We have forgotten ourselves. That ignorance covers the soul, and it is called the false ego. So now we have created a false identity, which is the material identity, the material body. So that comes from Lord Shiva, who is creating that false identity. And then the soul is completely forgetful in the mother's womb, and then takes birth and has forgotten everything inside of a new body. So that's how the eternal soul is covered by ignorance. And then when we want to reawaken our original Svarup means our original position, the original identity which we are deep inside. So then when we want to wake up that, so then we take some yoga process, and we practice the bhakti yoga process. And what is going to help us to wake up is actually a combination of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, studying Shastra, associating with devotees, and rendering some practical service to Krishna. So like that, slowly, slowly, the soul will start to wake up, because the Hare Krishna mantra removes all those coverings which are there. And then Durga Devi will no longer be Durga. She will, all of a sudden, you will see her as Lakshmi Devi. And then the more you chant, you will see her as Radharani. And like that. So like that, we can go back. And then we have our relationship with matter will not be, that, oh, this is, something which we reject, but something which we respect, because as we said in the previous lectures, everything belongs to Krishna. It's his material energy, it's his spiritual energy. So we should just offer that to the Lord. Like we saw, Miris has a wonderful garden. She can offer some flowers to the Lord. She can offer, whatever she's growing, she can offer to the Lord. And that's, it's as simple as that. Bhakti can be as simple as that. You just do some work, you offer that to Krishna. And while you're working, if you remember Krishna, that's even better. So, yeah. Was that too philosophical, my answer, Ashwini?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, it was clear. Okay, yeah. So would my husband like to add something?
No, you speak nicely. So
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's try to see here if we can continue. On the second paragraph, if you are following in your own Bhagavad-gita, on the second paragraph, So we have covered this Purushartha. I think that's quite easy to understand about Dharma. First Dharmas, then Artha, which leads to Kama and then Moksha. And then Prabhupada is saying, Purushartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam by the monist. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. So that's what I already explained, that for the person, there are certain types of spiritualists who thinks that the ultimate goal is to lose one's identity all in all and just merge with the Brahma Jyoti. Those are called the monist. And but now this Dhyana Yoga chapter, which is connected with Patanjali's teachings. So then Patanjali, he does not accept that one loses one's identity. But Kaivalya means we become aware who we are, our constitutional position. We become aware that we are a spirit soul. So in the words of Lord Chaitanya, so Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself. He comes as the Yuga avatar 500 years ago. He spread Hare Krishna mantra all over India. And he said that this state of affairs is called Chetudarbana Marjanam. And that's what I was talking about before, that the soul is covered by ignorance, and you just have to clean that. The mirror, Lord Chaitanya is poetically saying, it's the mirror of the heart or the mirror of the mind. You have to clear it. So this clearance is, once you have been purified from all these misconceptions and misidentifications with the body or the mind, and then you are liberated. Now you're liberated, okay? And that is Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapana. So if we speak about liberation, as I said, I think before in the other lectures, there are 3 stages. So when we are under the material illusion, Maya, in the material world, meaning we identify with this body, so then we are in the negative because we are suffering. And then with the help of some yoga process, we come to the liberated stage. So that is neutral. We are not in Maya, but we are also not in the positive. So then we have to go to the positive. The positive is we are out of the illusion and we are on the liberated stage. And now we are serving Krishna with love, transcendental love. So that is the positive. Because the activity of the soul, because the soul is always active, the activity of the soul is to serve. So if we are in the material world, we are serving. If we are in the spiritual world, we are serving. We can never stop serving because that is our nature, to serve. But in the material world, we are serving our senses. We are serving our material desires. So we are running after that. In the spiritual world, we are serving Krishna's senses and Krishna's desires. So that's the only difference. But remember, we are always servants. And when we try to become masters, that's when we enter into trouble. That's when we become bound by karma. More and more and more. The more we try to become masters, then the more we become bound by karma. So there you have the 3 stages. And Krishna is speaking about boundless happiness in these verses, which means when you are in the positive, when you have accepted your original position as a soul, as a servant, then you will feel that boundless happiness. In the material world, the happiness in the material world is actually only when you have a little break in the suffering, which means you have achieved some kind of balance. And the happiness in the neutral stage, when you are like liberated, but not yet on the positive, that happiness is compared to being relieved. You have been relieved from the material entanglement, but you have not started the positive actions. So the happiness in the material world is like really nothing compared to the happiness when you are liberated. But that happiness when you're liberated is nothing. It's maybe not even a drop in the ocean of bliss, which you can feel when you are in the spiritual world serving Krishna. So that is Rupa Goswami's explanations in the Nectar of Devotion about different types of happiness. So just let me know if anyone has any questions. You can just turn on your mic. Otherwise, I'll continue. Okay, so that was Kaivalya. We covered Shiti Shakti, Purushartha, and Kaivalya. Yeah. Okay, and clearance of the mirror of the heart. So now the third paragraph, Prabhupada is speaking here about Nirvana. Nirvana is quite interesting also. He's saying after Nirvana or material cessation, there is the manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord, known as Krishna consciousness. In the words of the Bhagavatam, Svarupena Vyavastiti, this is the real life of the living entity. Maya, or illusion, is the condition of spiritual life, contaminated by material infection. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity, which means, like I said before, you don't destroy yourself when you become liberated. That's another philosophy. Patanjali also accepts this by his words Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtava Chitti Shaktir iti. This Chitti Shakti or transcendental pleasure is real life. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra 1112 as Anandamaya Vyasat. This natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga will be vividly described in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. So we can go back to Nirvana. So Nirvana, Prabhupada is explaining in different ways what that means. One way, which I like very much, how Prabhupada explained it, is that your desires have become one with Krishna's desire. So in that sense, it's a oneness. The oneness is like that. My desire is your desire. It's like two lovers. When they love each other very intensely, then they are actually wanting to serve each other all the time. Oh, what do you want to eat? Oh, I would like to eat this. Okay, I'll fix it for you. I go to the shop, I do this, I do that, I cook and I serve you, and like that. So that is that is a reflection of what's going on in the spiritual world. So the lovers desire, they become one, and then the other person say, I do this for you, I do that, and let me serve you, sit down, take it easy, and like that all the time. So when there is the relationship is based on service, so then it's very nice. But when the relationship turns to both becomes master, so then there will be a quarrel. Yeah, and then disrespect, and when there is no respect, there is no relationship anymore. and then it ends like that. So it has to be always based on service. So nirvana means our desire is whatever Krishna wants, whatever pleases Krishna. Let me see what I found, something else on nirvana. To end material existence and to go back to Godhead. That's another explanation which Prabhupada is saying about nirvana. So it's like liberation, personal liberation. Does anyone have any questions on this or any thoughts? Okay, let's go to the fourth paragraph. So Prabhupada explains, in the yoga system as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called sampragyata samadhi and asampragyata samadhi. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical researchers, he is said to have achieved sampragyata samadhi. In the asampragyata samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasure, for one is then transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in the transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to research to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. So we have to reach that that stage, from where we will never come back into the material illusion. So I can give you the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, he was the son of a big demon, Hiranyakashipu. In the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read about Prahlad Maharaj's life. So what happened was that Hiranyakashipu, he was a very big demon. He has conquered over the demigods and kicked out Lord Indra from his position, because Lord Indra is the king of the demigods. He kicked him out and took his position, and all the demigods were afraid of him and they were serving him. And then they found out that Hiranyakashipu, he has a child, unborn child. So they took the mother, they kidnapped the mother, and they wanted to kill the Hiranyakashipu's child, because they thought his child will be an even bigger demon than him. But then Narada Muni came and he said, no, don't do that. Don't kill this child, because it's actually a pure devotee of Krishna. And the demigods then handed over the lady, the pregnant wife of Hiranyakashipu, handed over to Narada Muni, and Narada Muni took her to his ashram, and he started to speak about bhakti yoga, how to serve Krishna, the different ways how you can perform, the different 9 ways how you perform bhakti yoga, and so on. And the wife, she was pregnant, and a pregnant woman can fall asleep very easily. So she was falling asleep. But the child in the womb, Prahlad Maharaj, he was listening and he was learning. And then when he took birth, so then after 5 years, he went to the Gurukula, to the school. It's like a boarding school. And then they were teaching, Sanda and Amarka was his teachers, and they started to teach about politics, about materialism, and so many things which demons want their kids to learn, or materialists want their kids to learn. But then Prahlad Maharaj, he had learned about devotional service, and then he started to speak about, we should we should serve Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna and so and so. And then his father heard about that and he became angry because he was the enemy of Krishna. And he tries to then kill his son, actually, in so many different ways. But Prahlad Maharaj, he has reached this stage here, which Krishna is talking about, unwavering. You are in Samadhi, you're totally connected with Krishna. And there is, like Krishna said, even in the midst of greatest difficulty, you don't suffer. So he will, every time his father tried to kill him in different ways, through poison or through poisonous snakes, this and that, throwing him over from a cliff or put him in the cold condition. He was like, child abuser number one. So, but still Prahlad Maharaj was completely focused, always happy, and always meditating on Krishna. And because he was always meditating on Krishna, so then that's why nothing happened to him. No danger. His father was not able to harm him in any ways. So I think Prahlad Maharaj is the good example of a person who has reached this Samadhi stage, and also how Krishna is always protecting his devotees. When we surrender fully, then he is also fully there for us and take care of us. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have covered this whole 20 to 23, these verses, all the things which are there. So next Wednesday, we will read about, let me see here, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires, born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Okay, so that is, because this chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. So Dhyana means meditation or to focus the mind. Now, I would like to ask any of you if you have tried to do those exercises, mental exercises, which I asked last time. I don't know if anyone have remembered to do that. That would be interesting to hear.
I've been practicing, but it's something like I like the exercise of watching my thoughts or becoming aware of my thoughts and just kind of letting them, observing them without engaging. I mean, in a way, it's, I guess, the very core of meditation, and I've been trying even before, like, to practice it. And I would say I become more and more aware that I often get lost in thought, and like I would say, my mind is very active and a bit like a wild horse, like very. It can be, it can be like quick or carry a lot of things, but it's also sometimes hard to ride. But yeah, it's a very good exercise because yeah, it changes a lot of things when one can like disengage a bit and instead of following every whim of the mind, just kind of observing it and then filtering out, okay, what is really good and what is not good to do. So it's very insightful.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that that you have tried. I myself have also been doing it, and it's really, really good exercises. Because once you distance yourself from the mind, because the mind is the closest, so then you will actually start understanding, I'm the observer, I'm not the mind, which means I'm actually the soul. So it will lead to self-realization very quickly. So thank you very much for sharing. This is very important exercise. And I think we should continue with those exercises because they are so important. I don't know, I'm curious if Ashwini has had any opportunity to to try also?
Yeah, I couldn't try because actually I'm in India now.
Mm.
So I like yeah, I just came 3 days back, and my father-in-law passed away.
Oh.
So we are doing this 13 days of rituals now.
Mm.
So I thought of attending the class and have also on my speaker, so that my father-in-law might be somewhere here, because
Yeah.
it's 30 days of this thing. So I feel that he might be hearing this lecture. So
Yes.
because he also used to practice Bhagavad-gita, and he has books. And so I thought he will be very happy, because my husband and his brother, they are doing this the rituals
Mm.
and everything. So the soul is here in this house until 13 days. So
Mm.
once the moksha is done, I think after 13 days, I think, yeah. So I feel that he is still here, and he's
Mm.
hearing all your words, and I wish him good luck, and then for his next like whatever he deserves
Yeah.
from Lord Krishna.
Wow. That's quite amazing, actually. I mean, we can see how Krishna is arranging for everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I couldn't see his face because it was little bit late, but my husband and my daughter, so
Mm.
they both were here. But I saw him, in the video. But still, I always think that he loves me and he has respect, and I too have that. And then I thought this would be an opportunity for him, because usually the souls will be here for 13 days,
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
until we finish the rituals, and then they
That's
get
true.
moksha.
Mm.
So I thought he will be somewhere here only, so he will be listening this Bhagavad Gita, and then he would really love this, and he will be enjoying this, I feel that. So that's why I just kept speaker, and then all are listening here, and my mother-in-law is also here, and
Oh,
her
so
sister is
wonderful.
also here, so everybody is listening this lecture. And and I feel that everybody is gaining some knowledge, and mostly is like I know, like my father-in-law would be hearing this lecture, and he will be very happy.
Yeah, thank you so much for engaging me. It's a great honor to serve your, father-in-law and your family there. Thank you so much for connecting me with them. Yeah, I like very much to serve people and to share whatever I received from my spiritual masters, because for me it has been transforming my whole life, and from being that miserable soul who didn't
Yeah,
know what is meaning of
and
life.
yeah, and also on the 13th day we are going to finish everything, like so we will be 12th day, so we will be finishing everything. And then I also asked my satsang friends
Mm-hmm.
to come, and then we will be chanting for 1 hour, like Bhagavad
Mm.
Gita chanting.
Yeah, yeah.
So that he will be very happy, and he will
Mm.
have a like good next life, or whatever Krishna you know gives him, like, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's just
Amazing.
and he will be very happy if we
Mm.
chant Bhagavad Gita, and it's just a blessing for him.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, he loves Bhagavad Gita, and then, he
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
Bhagavad
thought
Gita
of giving
lectures.
him something, what he likes.
Mm.
So yeah, maybe because he does lot of puja and everything.
Mm.
So it's better, like at least I can give him something by chanting, and he would be very happy to
Yes.
listen, and he will definitely take this Gita, yeah, and he will leave.
Very nice. Yeah. Continue chanting there, doing this yagya, chant Hare Krishna mantra also, and read the Gita, and that will help him to come to the stage of detachment. That's very important, to detach oneself and
Yes.
be elevated to the level of knowledge. Like,
Yeah. And today's class was just fantastic because it was so nice and explained so nicely. It's like a very, I'm fulfilled happiness, like, very satisfied.
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
if you are happy. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. And thank you for this day.
thank you too.
And I'm happy that everyone listened to this, and also my father-in-law also, he must have listened.
Yes,
Uh,
for sure. I remember when we went with my father-in-law's ashes to Vrindavan, and then when it was time to go for the funeral rites in the Yamuna River,
mm,
so then I heard like a very soft voice asking, "Why is my wife not here on my funeral?" So he was
mm,
still around, but you know, the thing is that my husband's mother was 90 something, so we couldn't take her to India. But I just told him, now you focus on these rituals and do the best out of it, and you will soon meet her. And then he was pacified. And when we came to the Yamuna River, then it was a sun going down. There was this Sandhya, and I felt there is a divine personality standing here waiting for him. I couldn't see, of course, but I could really feel a divine, great, big personality standing here waiting for him. And then we went on the boat, and the priest did the Brahmana did the different rituals, and my husband poured the ashes in the river, and then
yeah.
I feel now he's gone, but he has gone to a really great place. So
Yeah.
these rituals are so important to do for one's family members, to help
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
to
and today morning also I started, like, they both, my husband and his brother, they both went to do the rituals, and I started doing little bit of chanting just for him to have a better, good life in the
yeah,
next birth,
yes,
or anything, like, yeah, what I mean, whatever the Krishna gives him,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
it can be anything good for him, just to bless all good things to happen for him.
Yes, yeah. We can also, when we chant, let's say we chant Hare Krishna 1 hour for him or something, and you dedicate that devotional service, you dedicate it for that soul who has departed. That will also help them um, to be able to move to something better, maybe hopefully to the spiritual world, but if not, at least to have an opportunity to serve Krishna in next life and continue to advance spiritually.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Wonderful.
you, Mataji. Thank you so much for this
You.
beautiful words and very
You.
positive and strengthening.
Yeah. You made me very happy now that I could serve your family. It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hare
this is
Krishna.
yeah. Good luck with everything there. And I will pray also for your father-in-law. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you. Thank
All
you, Mataji.
glories. All glories to Bhagavad-gita and the assembled devotees, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.